I'm Anastasia Chatzka, a fashion designer with over 20 years of experience and a sewing educator. And I'm really excited you're here to share another sewing adventure with me today. Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today we're going to talk about the Topstitch. I'm going to tell you what it is, when to use it, and exactly how to perform it on your sewing machine. If you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because I have new videos that come out every single week and they're all about sewing. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing and following me with all of my sewing adventures. So here's a sample of the Topstitch. You'll notice that there is a stitch on top of the fabric. Hello, that's why it's called a Topstitch. So let's take a closer look at it. So a Topstitch is a stitch on top of the fabric that's a 1/4 inch or further away from the seam. So you'll notice that our seam is over here and we have our Topstitch a 1/4 inch away from that seam. Now when we perform this, we make sure that our seam allowances are pushed over to one side and we're stitching on top of the seam allowances. So this first stitch here is the stitch used to create the seam, and the second stitch you're seeing here is that top stitch. To create a top stitch, we're first going to create a seam. So we're going to put two pieces of fabric together, right sides together. I'm going to be creating a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Always backstitch the beginning and the end of your seam. Backstitch at the end of your seam and cut. And now what we want to do is take our seam allowance and we want to press it over to the right and make it nice and crisp. And now when we perform the top stitch, we're going to be doing it from the top of the fabric. So make sure your fabric is faced right side up. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch over, making sure that we are sewing on top of our seam allowance because this is going to make it nice and secure and nice and crisp. So on the Husqvarna Viking machines, you're going to be using the A foot and you're going to be lining up your seam with the inner edge on the foot that's on the left. The little prong here on the left of the foot, you're going to line it up with that inner edge and that's going to give you a perfect 1/4 inch. For a top stitch, make sure you're back stitching at the beginning and the end as well. So when I'm performing this stitch, I'm not watching the needle, I'm just watching the seam with the inner edge of that A foot. When you get to the end, back stitch and cut. Now that you know how to create a top stitch, where are you going to use it on your projects? Well, you're always going to find your top stitch on the edge of collars, cuffs, and patch pockets. Here's a patch pocket, and you'll notice that top stitch a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the pocket, all the way around the 3 sides of the pocket. And there are so many other places you can also perform a top stitch. I would love to know where you're going to put a top stitch on your next project, so make sure you leave it down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching Sewing Anastasia today. I hope you had fun learning all about the top stitch. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below and I will get back with you as soon as I can. And if you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, make sure you subscribe so you know when all the new sewing videos come out every single week. So hit that notification bell so you know when they come out. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing and watching my videos. And if you don't already follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and TikTok, make sure you check me out on there so that way we can stay connected and creative together. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!